Record.
Good morning and welcome to Onsen Budgie Smugglers podcast, season 3, episode 5. So we haven't done for a while. Then welcome back. Good morning, Crash.
Good morning, Yosh. And yes, my apologies. My moving locations, as you may be able to see behind me, I've moved from Northcote, now in St Kilda, and that meant that I was a bit busy to be able to record the podcast with you 2 weeks ago. So I'm sorry about that.
No worries, that's fine. It's on drama roll. So what is going on these days?
Well, yeah, as I said, the move has been a big one, so I've been pretty busy with that, and that's probably been at the center of what I've been doing the past few weeks. And now I'm moved in. I need to unpack everything and get myself sorted. So, how about you, Yosh?
Um, I had a job interviews and I was quite worried about the company because what happens is like applied to the invitation to the job interview, then, you know, it's been left out, and that they finally contact me after the time I prefer to have a job interview. Then I feel like, why I've treated that. Then I got a job, and we played free 3 weeks ago.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, lots of good news and quite a bit been going on for you, mate.
It's just my,
I think we'll talk a
uh,
bit more about that.
yeah. Then the weather looks nice in St. Kilda.
Yeah, it's started off a bit overcast, but pretty nice out there now. Sun's shining, and yeah, it'd be a nice autumn's day. Saturday, footy day in Melbourne, so good weather for footy.
Nice. But today's free is played in Launceston, right?
Yeah, the Hawks will be down in Launceston, so that'll be exciting to see both our teams going at it down there.
Yeah, indeed.
Hopefully, the
Alright.
weather's nice for them down there.
Hope to.
It's really not that
So,
far from Melbourne, to be honest,
okay.
because it's in the north of Tasmania. It's really,
Yeah.
not all that far away. So the weather is actually often quite similar to Melbourne.
Alright. But the temperature could be cooler.
Yeah, it is usually a bit cooler, but also they're on the coast, and that tends to mean it doesn't get quite so cold,
Mm-hmm.
unless they get really bad weather, of course.
Yeah. So what are your highs and lows?
Yeah, so my high last weekend was finally seeing the Hawks have a good win. They did have a win a few weeks earlier against North Melbourne, but I guess that was maybe expected given that the bottom team on the ladder, North. But
Yeah.
yeah, watched the Hawks against the Bulldogs last week. Unfortunately, I was busy and couldn't actually make it to the game. But
Yeah.
I was watching at home and watching with my son, which was a bit of a turnaround because he actually hasn't watched footy since Buddy left Hawthorn and went to Sydney. He was devastated when that happened. And, that's like
Yeah.
10 years ago and hasn't really watched footy since. So he did sit down and watch the second half of the game with me and was pretty excited. And we got to see them have a good win. So that was a good moment for me last Sunday.
Yeah, that's a good game. I watched the last quarter. Then Hawthorn did very well.
Yeah, so as I said, unexpected. The Bulldogs have got a pretty strong list and would hope to be playing finals this year. And it was good to have a win over a better side.
Yeah. You
What?
know, some people criticize about, Luke Beverage's, team selection these days. then some people say like, he shouldn't be the coach, etc. What do you think about, Luke Beveridge?
Oh, yeah, I think it's very hard to sort of judge from outside, particularly with team selection, knowing, who is fit and who's in form. And, it's not just a simple matter of lining one player up against another. They have different opponents that they potentially going to be playing on.
Hmm.
And, I think around team selection, it's very easy to criticize from the outside, but if you were inside having to actually pick those teams and come up with the best team, you probably wouldn't be criticizing it. So it's a tough
Yeah,
coach being a tough job being a coach. And
yeah,
yeah, but by the same token, they are highly paid professionals. They're expected to perform to a level, and it's up to the club to decide whether he's meeting those performance standards or not. The fans have a very strong voice, and lots of people are criticizing him, but at the end of the day it's up to the club. And you shouldn't forget that he's also a premiership coach and has had his team to two grand finals in whatever it is, the last seven
yeah,
seven years or something like that. And there's not many other
yeah,
coaches that have got that sort of record.
yeah. He's been coaching for like, I think, 9, 10 years
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and he's been coaching as an assistant coach for much longer than that. He certainly was an assistant coach at Hawthorn for a while. He's coached premierships in sort of A grade amateurs. So yeah, he's a very experienced coach.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so my low, I guess there's been a lot of talk in Australia and media focus on the moment about domestic violence against women and women being killed by their domestic partners. And we saw the AFL last week have a minute's silence to reflect on that before all their games. And
Yeah,
yeah, it makes me very angry and sad that you know in today's society this can still go on,
yeah,
and also
understand.
frustrated because it's not something that I've had first-hand experience with, and I'm not involved you know with anyone that I know of in that sort of situation. And it's what can you do about it? So it's both sad and frustrating.
Yeah. Zero tolerance for the domestic violence, you know. I don't understand why, such kind of, crime still happens.
Yeah, it's very hard to understand. And yeah, I think certainly probably there hasn't been zero tolerance in the past. There's been a lot of tolerance, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah,
This has been allowed to sort of bubble along in the background in society, and has resulted in not only many deaths, but making a lot of people's lives miserable and causing other great mental and physical harm. So it just makes me very sad. So that's my low for today.
you understand. Like, both sexes, need to understand each other, like talk and, discuss. Then, ladies, prefer to talk, more. Then, guys prefer to like watch sports, for example, rather than talk. Then, this kind of, different, values, different thoughts, different opinions create, such kind of environment, I guess. But we have to talk and we have to discuss, compromise to avoid such kind of crime.
Yeah, look, I think it definitely is on us as men and all men to make more effort to, you know, treat women in every way as equals, and as you said, have that open discussion with people rather than segregate and separate yourself from the other sexes.
Yeah, indeed.
How about you, Yosh? What's your highs and lows?
Like, I got a new job, although it's not my first choice. Then I'll start a new job on Wednesday next week. Okay, it's 15th.
Congratulations, Yoshi. I'm very
That's
glad
my,
that you've got a new job. And
yeah,
we've had a bit of discussion about offline about your concerns around jobs, and that's definitely understandable. It's becomes a very big part of your life. And if you want to be living and feeling well, you need to be happy and comfortable with your job.
just I'll see what happens and I'll do the best for the job.
I've got no doubt you will, mate. And, I know that all the people that know you and following your journey in life are rooting for you, mate, and hoping that, it all goes well.
Just it's the first time for me to work remotely, other than, expect, while I'm, um, writing articles, as a, freelance. So I'm a bit nervous about it, but I should be all right.
Well, we know you're a talented man, Yoshi. You'll be right.
Just my role is as you mentioned me, I was a bit confused about the new job. Through communication with the company, and, kind of such kind of, as also I have already mentioned that, I had, kind of, facing tough, circumstances in arranging the job interview as well. Also, unfortunately, my goal is, was continue in a fully.
So let's talk a bit about your footy, Yosh, because we missed out on talking about that a couple of weeks ago. So
Yeah,
you
sure.
you had the big tournament there in Osaka. How did that go?
Yeah, yeah. On April 20th.
And so you had teams visiting from Tokyo.
Yeah,
Tell us about how that all went that day.
yeah. I will in the later,
Okay.
fully talk.
Right, I will wait till footy talk.
Yeah,
Let's talk about the topics of the week. So we're doing it a bit different this week. We've just got one big topic that we want to talk about.
yeah, sure. Then, my Google account, gives me, news feeds as tourists, over tourism, problems all over the world, especially in Europe. Then, I'm interested in talking about, over tourism. Is there any over tourism happening in Melbourne or in Australia these days?
I don't think so. I mean, Australia is a big country with a small population
Yeah,
and very heavily relies on tourism
yeah,
financially for people to come from other countries and spend their money here.
yeah,
And Australia, being such a big place, has lots of different places for people to go and visit.
yeah,
Obviously, they will be concentrated to some of the places that are most popular. So, obviously, places like Sydney, Sydney Harbour, the bridge and the Opera House and all that, which are iconic.
yeah,
Um, but Australia has lots of iconic places that are much further away and harder to get to. So I think it spreads the tourist load around a bit more.
yeah,
But yeah, there can be definitely times in Melbourne and Sydney where certain events, have massive crowds and it can be very
mm,
difficult. But I
yeah.
don't think we experience it in the same way that you do there in Japan and that, some of the European countries are experiencing.
That's good to hear that, spreading, people is a key to avoid, over tourism, I reckon.
Having said that, I think there is a bit of a problem in general with housing in Australia at the moment, particularly, affordability for people who are struggling financially. And that's sort of come about because of the whole Airbnb situation where people are able to rent out their properties like a hotel, I guess, fairly
Mhm.
easily. So instead of those properties being available for people to live in, they're now basically tourist accommodation on a week-to-week basis. So that may be the only part that I'd say could be at the moment a bit of a problem in Australia.
So means like housing problem is like, someone offers the Airbnb, then local residents, get the accommodation or tourists get accommodation. Like I'm still a bit confused.
Yeah, so because that property that normally would have been rented out to somebody locally at
Yeah,
say $200 a week, people
yeah,
realize that they can rent out to tourists for maybe three, four, $500 a week on
yeah,
Airbnb,
yeah,
um, and then that means that there's less properties available for people to rent,
yeah,
and that means that it's much harder for people who are on the lower incomes to find a house to rent because there's less properties available, and that
yeah,
and that though that is kind of driven by tourism because some of the big hotels or a lot of the big hotels are very expensive accommodation. So if you can
yeah,
get an Airbnb at an in-between price,
yeah,
that's less than a hotel, then that's an attractive option for a lot of people when they're traveling.
yeah. Understand like, travelers, want like something like different from the hotel, like a cheap options and better like, feeling like living in that place.
Yeah.
Then they prefer Airbnb, understand? Also, my thoughts are like, if property owner, set like a higher rent for the Airbnb, then surrounding area would be, you know, pricing like there would be like, rent, like hiking rent.
Yes, exactly. That's the effect that's happened.
Oh.
And even in small towns, like small, say, coastal towns where tourists like to go,
Yeah,
um, because there's less properties available, like even getting people to come and work in those towns is very difficult because there's not properties for them to live in.
yeah,
So then those towns struggle to have people, have workers and have tradespeople and that sort of thing
yeah.
because there's just not the accommodation available.
That's no good.
No. But yeah, obviously there's bigger problems in some of those cities with over tourism, particularly if there's more people than can be serviced by the things like garbage removal
Yeah,
um, and that sort of thing. So I think you shared an article with me about Amsterdam and maybe Venice, where they're really struggling because too many people are making such a mess.
yeah, mess,
Um,
yeah,
and it's not necessarily just because the people are messy, it's because there's not enough facilities. And
yeah,
then the locals end up having to pay for the facilities. So it's a vicious circle. They have to add on local taxes to
yeah,
try and pay for these sort of services to support the tourists. And then people get angry that they're having to pay tourist taxes.
yeah. Also, like, if more and more people are walking on the streets in like Venice and Amsterdam, also here in Kyoto, then, you know, it's hard for us to walk on the street, like a local residents, hard to walk on the streets. Even like here, like, buses are crowded because there are too many, flood of, tourists, get on the bus. Then local residents, for example, they want to go to the hospital, they want to go to the city council, they want to go to the shopping, then they can't get on the bus. That's a big issue for here, you know. I'm totally sick and tired of, limiting, like, for example, like walking on the street, like, to get a fresh air, like, to exercise. But facing the flood of tourists can make like it difficulty in walking on the street, doing activities like uncomfortable like that. Not only about, I'm not only frustrated with like such kind of, huge number of tourists, but also useless city council. I'm totally curious about, you know, Kyoto City Council. They do nothing. I'm totally angry about it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're in a difficult place with over tourism because on one hand they want to encourage people to come to the city to spend money. Kyoto obviously makes a lot of money out of tourists,
Yeah,
but yeah, there has to be a balance on people being able to live and go about their lives comfortably in their own city.
exactly. Like such, balance is needed everywhere. Then having a tourist boosts economy, which is good. But like for example, like we can't, pay, you know, many much money for the like rubbish collections, like the cleaning the streets, you know, cleaning the public toilet, mowing the grass in the parks, for example. Then accommodating the bus, we can't. This is a limit. There's a limit. Then we have to provide like the good quality of tourism,
Yeah,
so that tourists would be satisfied. If there's like a flood on the streets, then even tourists will be sickened about it. I
yeah,
reckon.
yeah, I agree. So it'd be interesting to see what they can do. I was reading in that article about how in Amsterdam they're basically stopping cruise ships from coming there, and like we said before, they're putting tourist taxes on
Yeah,
accommodation and things like that to try and
yeah,
discourage a certain number of people and reduce the number of people coming each year. So, what do you think
yeah.
they could do in Kyoto to sort of to limit the number of tourists? Or is there a particular time of year, or is it like year round in Kyoto?
Year around Kyoto, basically, depending on the seasons, like depending on the climate. However, some people might come, in off season, like, when, then nightmare is like when cherry blossoms, when we have, red tree leaves in November, something like that. That's a nightmare, like too many people are coming to Kyoto. Um, then from reading the Amsterdam article, why Kyoto doesn't limit the, building a new hotels? They keep, building the hotels, then that makes me angry, like, why, tourist attractions are the same, numbers are the same, but why they try to accommodate more people in a, like such kind of, small town, small street, you know, that makes me angry.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like good town planning.
No, of course not. That's why, I hate Kyoto. City council has no skills, you know, makes me angry.
Oh, maybe politics is in your future, Yoshi.
But definitely beforehand, I'm leaving this bloody Kyoto.
Yeah,
I'm seeking elsewhere.
I
Simply,
understand. Well, yeah,
why,
now Yoshi,
why this?
I was thinking
Yeah.
I'd like to come to Japan and visit sometime in the near future, but now I'm thinking maybe that would be a bad thing.
Well, Japan is a bad country, but probably I would advise you to avoid Kyoto, like even like, Kyoto was the old capital. Then many people like traditionals, but there are only temples and shrines and what others, you know.
Well, yeah. There's always a kick in the park with Yoshi, though. Anyway, we should move on to footy, mate.
Yeah, let's move to the footy.
Much more happy topic, particularly when your team's winning.
Yeah,
Let's talk about Osaka first, though. Let's talk about the Dingoes and your tournament first, and then we'll talk about the AFL.
yeah. We had annual Anzac Cup on April 20th on Saturday. Um, Tokyo teams, two merged teams, came over here, not here, but there. Um, the first merged team is um, Yokohama Griffins and R246 Lions. They are the winner of the tournament. Then other merged team, more experienced, like, expert team of Tokyo Guanas and student club of Century Powers. Then we Osaka Dingos, three teams um, had a Robin run tournament. Like we faced each other twice.
Yep.
So the tournament had 6 games. But Griffins has a experience like, speed and, you know, skills. Then they are the winner. And Tokyo Guanas has a more experienced, team.
Yeah, I saw the
Uh,
photo. They had a lot of Australian-looking guys playing for them.
yeah,
Yep.
that's a Tokyo Guanas, I think.
Yep.
Then Osaka Dingos are more, inexperienced teams, and we couldn't beat any of them. We had no win.
Yeah, sometimes that's how it goes. But very glad that you got some footy because it's a little bit sad to see all the training that you do without having games. So I'm glad that you got some games in. It made me happy.
Yeah, just but I just, I can't read the game. I don't know what to do, like, I should stay in a deep forward or like I should chase in the middle, like something like that. That's why I struggle, with playing the game and also struggle with kicking goals.
I think it's very hard when you don't sort of play week in, week out, when you're only playing a game, once every few months or a couple of times a year. It's very hard to sort of find that game form to get that reading the play. You need to be more regularly playing games, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a spot on. Exactly. Yeah,
All right, let's get into our tips. I think we've only got about 10 minutes to run. So,
yeah,
the AFL. So,
yeah.
so maybe just quickly give a recap of St Kilda's game last week.
That's it's a good win. Like win by 36 points is good against North Melbourne. And Darcy Wilson, he's everywhere. Like he's a good day, great day. And kicking 3 goals and 20, 20 or 21 disposals. He's so good. How about your game against the Bulldogs?
Yeah, so the Hawks had a pretty good game. They had Bulldogs kick 3 quick goals at the start. It looked like that was going to be, Hawthorn again, slow start, can't really catch it up, but they did catch them up. They got in front and held the lead for quite a while. Kelsha Deer, son of Paul Deer, had his first game for the club, and that was very good. His father was a former premiership player at Hawthorn and died last year of
Yeah,
cancer.
yeah.
So that was quite emotional and that was really good. But yeah, they won by 7 points in the end, and as I said, it was a bit
Wow.
unexpected, but very good. So
Absolutely nice.
yeah. And now look at this week, Josh. We've got the big
Yeah,
clash this afternoon.
yeah. I go for St. Kilda.
I probably, if this had been in Melbourne, I would have went St Kilda as well. But given it's down in Launceston and Hawthorn generally plays pretty well down there, I'll go with the Hawks today.
That's all right. Let's see what happens. But I can only watch like in the first half. Then I will have a training today.
Okay, well, I'll be watching for both of us then.
Yeah.
And just
So
quickly
next,
to go over the other games that have already happened this round, Carlton beat Melbourne by a point at the
yeah,
MCG on Thursday
yeah.
night. I went to that game. It was a good finish.
Nice.
And then last night, 2 Friday night games, Port Adelaide beat Geelong by a goal, which was very one-sided for most of the match, but Geelong came back, but Port Adelaide held them off. And then over in Perth, the Swans beat Fremantle.
Yeah,
You want to run us through the rest of the tips, Yoshi?
yeah. Um, Essendon versus GWS.
Uh, it's going to be a very good game. I'll just given that it's the home game for Essendon, I'll go with the Bombers.
I'm between GWS.
Yep.
Richmond versus the Western Bulldogs.
Uh, Western Bulldogs to come back after last week and do it for Bevo.
Yeah, Luke Bevo, the Western Bulldogs. Gold Coast Suns versus North Melbourne.
The Suns to win that one at home.
Should be Suns in the home. Collingwood versus West Coast Eagles.
Collingwood.
Collingwood, yeah. Adelaide Crows versus Brisbane Lions.
Oh, this will be a very good game too over in Adelaide. I'm going to go with the Lions.
I go for a Crows like a home advantage.
Yep.
That's all for this week.
And it's going to quickly run through next week's as well.
I haven't done for chipping.
No, that's all right. We can guess them on the run.
Suns versus Cats. In the
Uh, Suns for me.
it's hard like I go for Geelong.
Yep.
Sydney versus Carlton at SCG.
Swans.
Swans. Collingwood Crows.
Magpies.
Collingwood. GWS Bulldogs.
GWS.
GWS. St. Kilda Frio.
The Saints to win that one at Marvel.
Saints. Brisbane Richmond.
Lions.
Brisbane. Essendon versus North.
Bombers.
Bombers. Frio Hawthorn. Sorry, Port Adelaide Hawthorn.
Port.
Unfortunately, Port. West Coast versus Melbourne.
I think the D's will win that one.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Mm.
What's on for your weekend, Yoshi?
I'm having a free training today.
Yep.
I have no plan for tomorrow.
Prepping for your new job.
I would do on Monday. I
Yeah.
would do like shop. I would go on a shopping on Monday. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing a bit of shopping for my new apartment today. So hopefully
Yeah,
get a washing
nice.
machine. Go watch a bit of West Brunswick footy this afternoon.
Beautiful.
And yeah, pretty quiet. Pretty quiet weekend.
Nice. Enjoy it.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah. So that's all for today's Onsen Budgie Smugglers podcast. And thanks for watching. Thanks, Troy. And see you in 2 weeks.